Labyrinth of the Demon King has got to be one of the best games I've played this year. One half Silent Hill and the other half Kingsfield, the game is a scarily fun dungeon crawler. You play as an Ashigaru, a peasant infantryman a part of a daimyo's army. If you've ever played Shogun Total War, you know these guys are the goats. Japan is crumbling. War ravages the lands and demons walk the very earth. Deceived by a powerful demon, your lord's army is led into a fatal ambush. All perish except for you, your lord giving his very life to save yours. Taking a vow of revenge against the demon who caused his death, armed with just a broken, rusty katana, you enter hell to avenge the death of your lord. You enter the Labyrinth of the Demon King. What follows is a mini Dante's Inferno where you battle through different layers of Buddhist hell, encounter and fight different supernatural monsters, figure out puzzles, get lost in mazes, and get scared way more than you would expect. I think what really drew me into this game is its retro look, genuinely looking like something you would have played back on the PS2, also having its inventory and mapping mechanics inspired by Silent Hill. But rather than just being a mere retro experience, it builds on top of this and stands on its own as a unique and memorable experience. The game is challenging, scary, interesting to explore, and a lot of fun packed into about 6 hours. Across 4 towers of a Demon King's domain, you progress as you defeat terrifying bosses, solve puzzles, and interact with a small cast of odd characters. Exploration is very much like old survival horror games. You find a key for a locked door to get another key for a locked door to get one of 4 puzzle pieces to open a door to get another key, all the while being constantly chased, ambushed, and greatly inconvenienced by midgets and bugs. Combat is simple, fun, and yet punishing. You and most enemies can light and heavy attack, block, parry, riposte, kick, and shove in fights. It makes every fight feel very tactical and dangerous. Enemies can either be dispatched without issue, or you could find yourself being punished severely for mistiming actions or running out of stamina. You'll find yourself constantly alternating between staggering, striking, blocking, and dodging to get the upper hand on an enemy. But you have some significant advantages compared to some homeless demon. You can find new armor and weapons, varying in speed, damage, and stamina usage. You can also upgrade these as well as your health and stamina. You find talismans, which are consumable magic powers to heal yourself, damage, or debilitate enemies. It adds a bit of nuance to the combat to help deal with the different enemies in different ways, or when you're being overwhelmed. On top of this, you can get a bow for long distance kills, and like all good games, you can even get a gun. As an example of how niche this game goes into Japanese mythology, the upgrade material for weapons and armor is called Shirikodama, and looks like this. The blacksmith, being a kappa, a river monster, really wants these. Well, that seems fine, right? You don't need them yourself. But what even are these things? Alright, well, moving on. Despite the game already being a lot of fun, the enemy AI does some cool things. Certain ones will hide to ambush you. They also like to fight each other, which is generally just an interesting thing to watch in the game, but also often saves your ass. If I was stuck in hell, I would probably be just as mad as these guys. As you do the very cool Resident Evil-like area transitions through doors and stairs, you notice enemies respawn much like Silent Hill. But this is very much a double-edged sword gameplay-wise, making backtracking just as hard as exploring new areas, as it adds significant pressure as you try to return to a key area or save point. But it's also beneficial. Enemies drop money and consumables on death, meaning if you're having trouble you can kill easier enemies, get healing supplies or money to buy ammo, talismans or new gear. Crates also drop supplies and respawn, or they have these bloody bugs in them, which have to be one of the most annoying enemies in the game. When you die, you get a very cool visual of the world freezing, with the words death and then revive appearing, with you then finding yourself at your last save point. Interestingly though, your save is not reloaded. Any items you've gained or lost since the last save are kept, meaning you may have just lost all your consumables that you used, or gained a key item and won't have to backtrack, which can either be punishing or rewarding. With there being 4 towers, the last being the final challenge, the first 3 are large maze-like areas with constant back and forth, acquiring items, assisting characters, and gradually unlocking doors, which gain access to new areas and shortcuts. The first tower, the Tower of Repetition, is very much like it sounds, a big maze-like tower which is a consistent challenge of killing enemies, gaining items, and making gradual progress. It's the longest part of a game and also serves to help familiarise yourself with the mechanics. This will honestly help you either really get into the game or decide it's not for you. I would say it's also the most terrifying part of a game. You're not sure what to expect, not sure where to go, and probably aren't fighting things perfectly. It's also where you get to encounter the Mr. X of this game, a corrupted Buddha statue that comes to life and relentlessly chases you. It can't be killed and can only be slowed down. Sometimes it won't appear, and sometimes it will appear at the most inconvenient moments. It adds an additional unpredictable element to an already scary game. As a survival horror experience, it's honestly great, and I'd say the biggest challenge to the game is using the Silent Hill-esque map, navigating with a general understanding of where you are but not precisely, so there's a lot of stopping and checking. It's honestly fine if you're patient and pay attention, but I did waste 30 minutes running around in circles because I kept missing an unlocked door because I wasn't navigating and reading the map correctly. There is also a good amount of optional exploration. Combing through every single level often reveals hidden areas leading to different weapons and armor. Some are much better upgrades while others are just cool to have. There are also a lot of notes scattered throughout the game, often talking about the levels of hell and punishments reserved for certain sinners. It helps give a lot of interesting information into Japanese mythology and Buddhism, which is usually only skimmed at a surface level in games. And turns out hell? Yeah, it's a pretty bad place. Completing the first tower will open up the exterior of the castle and courtyard. This will enable access to the shop owner, blacksmith, and later on the priest and shrine maiden. This serves as a safe hub to trade, upgrade, talk, and just take in the ambiance. Here the game opens up a bit more, with both towers 2 and 3 becoming accessible at the same time, offering different environments and challenges. Tower 2, the Tower of Crushing Assembly, is a gigantic vertical prison, which means a whole lot of narrow corridors, hundreds of jammed doors which will never be opened, and skeletons. This helps introduce that certain enemies are immune to certain types of damage. Navigating the prison is probably where I took the longest, as I kind of got lost in the sameness of how everything looks, which I'd say is pretty reasonable. The third tower, the Tower of Lamentation, is basically a giant bathhouse, a plumbing system, and its surrounding areas. I'd say this area requires the most critical thinking or strong memory, as the overarching puzzle of the area involves getting coloured valves for the plumbing area to flood and drain respective pools for you to traverse through their grates. This involves actually finding the valves, figuring which does what, and then knowing where to go after that. It's manageable but takes some time, particularly when constantly running for your life. Solving the puzzle of each area leads you to facing a boss. The first tower just has you collecting 4 gems to open a door and face this nice lady. Later on you encounter a horrific spider, which leads to rescuing the priest. The prison has you sounding 4 bells to summon the jailer, and clearing the bathhouse blockage has you face the blob monster. Bosses in general are pretty terrifying but ultimately manageable, each having a unique twist or two, but for most you can really just block and hit them bit by bit. I guess that's kind of intended with how the gameplay is, as this isn't some Dark Souls-like boss battle. But for the bosses which were a bit more challenging, I shot them. Yeah. Going forward, I'm going to talk about the ending, so spoiler warning. Please skip to the timer on the screen if you want to avoid spoilers. Defeating each boss gives you a coin to access the final tower, the Tower of No Interval, where you will face the Demon King and take your revenge. As you enter the tower, you get this very long and tense sequence where you run up what seems like an endless flight of stairs, while this absolute banger plays. But finally, you enter his dark throne room. There is nothing but you and him left in a final face-off. A brief dialogue with him is had. He claims that the katana you brought with you is what was used to kill your master. But not only this, he states, "Do you hope to cut me down with it a second time?" Which I'd say is open to interpretation. Does this suggest that you actually tried to defend your lord and attacked the Demon King during his ambush? Or that your lord is now embodying the Demon King and is a manifestation of your guilt if you actually did kill him? Potentially, even that you've been here before, faced the Demon King, failed, and are stuck here for eternity to atone for your sins. There is the potential that you didn't even intend to seek out the Demon King, and as stated in the introduction, You take what could possibly be your final breaths on this mortal plane, where your character actually takes their life out of guilt for their actions. In the training segment of a game, there is a lone body hanging outside the training room, potentially being your character, with you having an out-of-body experience on the precipice of entering the afterlife. All of these are plausible. However, the final note before facing the Demon King is about the hell of repetition, which states, "A hell for those who have destroyed life in any form. The sinners here are full of rage and hatred. They seek each other out and tear each other apart using tooth and nail, pulling out eyes and ripping flesh until bone is exposed. Afterwards, the wardens of this hell come out and use great iron rods to beat the sinners until they are nothing but piles of broken bones and mangled flesh. Thereafter, a chilling wind will blow through the realm, with a voice from the sky cries out, 'Revive, revive,' and the sinners will be restored to their former shape to begin the torture again." If you recall earlier, revive is what appears when your character respawns, so it seems likely that you are, in fact, trapped in an endless cycle of hell, likely as punishment for killing your lord, destined to be endlessly killed with hammers by the demons of hell, and even if you reach the Demon King, to be struck down again, repeating an endless cycle of punishment. But what if you defeat the Demon King? What if you can overcome this challenge in one final, epic battle? And by epic battle, I mean blasting him with your gat and frantically swinging your sword at him, hoping you don't die for the 5th time, like I did. But when you do, he's actually defeated. You find yourself walking down a river, seeing the Demon King's discarded mask. This may potentially be the River Sanzu, the river of free crossings where the souls of the dead cross into the afterlife. Those who live a good life take a bridge. Those who did great evil face deep waters and serpents. But those who live a balanced life must ford the river themselves. I don't see any bridges or snakes, so I would say that defeating the Demon King has potentially redeemed your karma. You awaken in a forest. It's calm. It's tranquil. Wherever you are, it's over. This game was a lot of fun. It's creative, challenging, well made and succinct all at the same time. I haven't played a new game in a long time that I completed, enjoyed and felt compelled to make a video on, as you can tell by the last time I actually did that. If you liked what you saw, I'd recommend checking out the game. It's a great mixture of action and survival horror, clearly inspired by Silent Hill and Kingsfield. The game's a fair price, has a lot of fun packed into 6 hours, and makes you appreciate indie developers who strive to make retro experiences without skimping on the effort and creativity. If you're wanting even more to the game, it actually has a new game plus. This adds new weapons, enemy variants, some new dialogue and some other secret stuff. I'd say this is truly a developer going above and beyond for their game. I hope you liked the video. I know it's been a while, and honestly, I've been okay. I just kinda got busy with life and lost the time and drive to make videos. I'm not going to make any promises I can't keep, but maybe you'll see a new video by 2030. Have a good one.